A beautiful spring evening here in Brands Hatch in Kent, the Garden of England, and well, we're about to mess up that garden a little bit with some noisy race cars. 37 of them taking to the track now in the qualifying for the Blancpain GT Series Round 3 from here in Brands Hatch. It's 22 degrees and it's still 5 o'clock at night. Track temperature up to 29 degrees. My name is Jack Nichols. Alongside me in the commentary box is John Watson ahead of what is going to be a fascinating qualifying session. This is how the championship stands after 2 rounds of the Blancpain GT Series, incorporating the Sprint Cup and the Endurance Cup. Max Buch and Dominic Baumann at the top of the standings, 2 points clear of Rob Bell. Laurens Van Thor and Frederik Vervisch are third in the championship. Shane van Gisbergen and Con Ledegaard in fourth. Then Sule Suchek, Eng Sims, Jasmine Jafar completing the top 7. So the cars making their way out onto this fantastic circuit that winds its way through the trees and the woods, some of which are in full bloom, some of which are yet to quite grow as the summer approaches. There's not many better places to watch racing cars than here, John.
I have to say, Jack, I'm looking for the bloom, but there's a lot of leaf out there. But anyway, there is the wonderful Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. I call it our version, a mini version of the North Schleife, 3.9 kilometers, 9 turns. Old school, everything close to the side of the racetrack. Difficult corners, fast corners, one slow corner, and a real joy for everybody here. 37 cars to take part in and thoroughly enjoy this qualifying session. And after those 2 1-hour free practice sessions, finally we're going to find it. How quick is a Nissan? They've been languishing down at the tail of the field. In fact, the 22 Nissan was slowest in that second 1-hour session, and the 23 car was 33rd quickest. I mean, that's nowhere near where we'd expect these 2 Nissan to be. Remember how competitive they were here 1 year ago?
We're on board with Mitsunori Takaboshi, who is at the wheel of the 23 Nissan, coming through the right-hander of Hawthorne. Then a little squirt towards Westfield Bend. Down a gear, ride the curves, and look how bouncy it is, really having to work the wheel.
Well, I tell you, the exit of Westfield, whether it's because of our very mild winters or something, but certainly the exit of Westfield has become, I think, bumpier over the period of this 1 year since last year when we were here. Stirling's not so bad, just the exit, you've got to be careful, the curb on the outside, and now the run down into Clark Curve, which then flows into Clearways. The whole thing used to be called Clearways, but they did redesignate the corner names a number of years ago. So Nissan comes across start-finish line, and let's have a look and see what they're doing. 125.9, and well, how much better is that than they achieved this morning? It's identical time, and that'll be, I hope, on a new set of tyres. But it's the first flying lap, and maybe now coming up the second one, we might see a slight further improvement.
So the lap time we're all looking for, a 24.1. is the fastest we have seen so far this weekend. The way this is going to work is that we have 2 15-minute sessions, Q1 and Q2. First driver goes out in Q1, second driver goes out in Q2, and the overall fastest 19 cars will go through to the 10-minute pole position shootout. It's going to be frantic. Here's your own Blancpain making his way now towards the right-hander of Westfield Bend. Personal best in the first sector, but of course this is his first lap. At the moment it's Enzo Eid who set the quickest time of anyone at 25.4, but as I mentioned, a 24.1 is the time that we have seen so far today. That's going to be the kind of benchmark time to try and take pole position, and also to get into Q3 is going to be so tight, because earlier on we had 22 cars covered by 0.8 of a second.
Absolutely. I mean, there's been a lot of the times between the fastest and the slowest, there's been a little bit more of a gap than that 1 second. It was up to an amazing 2.2 seconds, but it's going to be very tough indeed, because traffic is going to be the problem, managing the traffic. When do you go out? You put on your best set of tyres. Mercedes 85, fastest middle sector. Right now, car 16's got quickest overall, 125.053.
Yep, that's your own Blancpain in that Lamborghini. Here is the 26 car in the hands of Mike Parisi at the moment, the Frenchman from Pau, heading down towards the final corner, but I think he's lost time on this lap. Yes, he lost 3 seconds in the middle sector as he tried to get past the traffic. Now he's got some clear air, and now the Sainteloc Racing driver who shares that car with Monty can start to push as he comes across the line. 88 there, that's a car to watch. Felix Rosenquist, who is out in that car at the moment, so Tristan Vautier will be out in Q2, but the defending FIA Formula 3 champion out for the Acker ASP Mercedes team.
Very impressive indeed at Mazzano, and doing a stunning job here. Okay, first sector time, purple, Second sector time, purple. He's only got that final sector to go, and it's relatively straightforward. All you got to do is get through Stirling's cleanly, get into the Clark curve, not try and be a bit too ambitious on the throttle, but a clean exit. Rosenquist knows Brands Hatch. Maybe not the Grand Prix circuit, but he will go quickest.
Across the line he comes, and it's a 24.278, only a tenth slower than we saw in final practice. We tend to see the Q2 times ending up quicker than the Q1 times because they will have burnt off some more fuel, and on occasion you put your quicker driver in. I'm not saying Tristan Vautier is quicker than Felix Rosenquist. Meanwhile, we're seeing purple times all over the place. Alexander Sims has just done a very fast first sector. We've also had a good lap from Dries van Thor. He goes second quickest then. So Rosenquist quickest, Dries van Thor in the number 4 WRT Audi second quickest, Bleekemolen in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini down to third quickest. Here are our championship leaders, Maximilian Buch and Dominic Baumann. Baumann at the wheel at the moment, 8th quickest, flashing his lights because he can see a car up in front of him.
Rosenquist on another lap, fastest once again in first sector. We're watching the car of Dominic Baumann. Currently that's done in ninth place, and well, one of the Nissans on its way back in. But I tell you what, Baumann wasn't about to concede any ground whatsoever, so personal best first, second sector.
He's about 4 tenths down on Felix Rosenquist's time. Rosenquist has lost a couple of tenths in that middle sector on his lap, so this may well not be as quick as we would have seen from Rosenquist had he hooked up that middle sector. Across the line comes Baumann. He goes quickest, 24.260, mega final sector.
Absolutely nailed it right in that final sector. That's where we would expect Rosenquist to do the same, and he's gone now back to 24.121.
Yep, so Rosenquist back in front of Baumann. Then third for Alexander Sims in the BMW M6. Here now coming towards the final corner is Clement Schmidt. He's seventh quickest at the moment. Ninth quickest at the moment, but he hasn't had a particularly good run. Second place for Rob Bell in McLaren. Quickest for that man, Dries van Thor in the number 4 WRT Audi, the 17-year-old fastest of anyone.
Careful on the exit, Dries van Thorn, because that's where you get a penalty. I think he might have just gotten away with it, but overrunning into Paddock Bend on the exit coming out of Druids. As we go back to the Bentley, number 7, Vincent Abril, whereas the Bentley right now in 11th place. Personal best first and second sector. Whether that's going to see enough to see him elevate up into the top 6. Well, he's only got to get through Jim Clark curve and then into clearways. And the Bentley has looked very good around the quicker corners here at Brands Hatch all day.
He's 6 tenths down after the middle sector. Across the line he comes, and it's only 7th quickest. Good final sector for Vincent Abril, but it's 7th for the number 7 car with 6.5 minutes to go. As I said, it's still the second sessions that tend to be quickest. Rob Bell, who is third at the moment, has done a personal best in the first sector. He's got his teammate up in front of him in the 59 car that is currently in the hands of Martin Plowman, and Plowman's going to want to get out of the way pretty pronto, and he's not doing it.
No help whatsoever, and Plowman probably says I'm on the beginning of a lap, and of course Rob Bell trying to improve on that current time for the McLaren, so the McLaren driver will not be happy now. Plowman pulls over to the left as if he's going to let Rob Bell go through, but it's all a bit late because it's also had a bearing on Bell's slap that he's just gone onto.
So this now is the 99 Row Racing BMW that is currently in 5th place. Alexander Sims, a man who knows this circuit very well, having raced in the British GT Championship over the last few years, essentially the champion last year, but he had to miss a round, and so it was his teammate who took the title.
Yeah, the BMW looks as if it rides well through Westfield Bend as well. So
it's a good middle sector, best of anyone.
Absolutely.
But the fastest first sector, once again, has gone to Felix Rosenquist. Very good lap on by the looks of things so far. So Sims, 5th quickest at this present time, comes out through the final curve, onto the Brabham straight and across the line. Where's this going to put Alexander Sims, the British man at his home track, quickest of anyone, 1 minute 23.926. The BMW is looking strong here.
And that's the first lap we've seen all weekend, below 1 minute 24.
So first for Sims, second for Dries van Thor in the WRT Audi. Here now comes Rosenquist. He's lost a lot of time in the middle sector and decides to bail into the pits. There's the anti-climax we were all hoping for from the lap there from Felix Rosenquist, but just lost about a second in that middle sector. Cool. Pushing hard now is Alexander Sims, all over the curbs on the exit.
Yeah, but his first sector time, well, it's down marginally on the best he's done on his previous lap. And I suspect it'll be a lap into the pits for Alexander Sims. There's nothing to be gained now. He's done the time. Don't abuse the set of tyres you're on. You might want those set of tyres for the next session, or you certainly might want to have them available in case of a problem, both with the sprint and the main race. But he's continuing. Yeah, he is. He's going to continue. I'd be curious to see what this lap is for Alexander Sim, because it ain't going to be a 23.9, that is for sure.
Across the line he comes, and it is...
Wait. Nothing's coming up on timing and scoring. Yeah, well, it seems it can't have been an identical time, surely.
I think that might have been Steph Dusseldorp. My apologies. That was the 98 car, I think we were watching, of Dusseldorp that comes across the line to go 7th quickest. So my apologies. Those row racing BMWs are pretty much indistinguishable from one another, which is good fun. There's a little yellow flash on the 99 car, which is how you can tell the difference.
Max van Splunteren in the Lamborghini. He's on a lap, and just looking to see. He is down presently in 15th place, personal best, first sector, nothing in the second. Comes across the line, 16th. Any improvement? No, stays 16th quickest.
But still quickest of the Silver Cup entrants. We've got 5 Silver Cup entrants this weekend. Not a good lap so far for Rob Bell in the 58 Garage 59 McLaren. No personal bests for him as he comes across the line, remains 4th quick. Oh no, he still goes 3rd quickest. So he manages an improvement with an excellent final sector then. So Rob Bell moves up a place, even though the first 2 sectors were nothing to write home about.
Well, that's you've got to be careful, because it seems a lot of combinations drivers' cars have picked up time in this final sector. We go back to 98 BMW, which is down in 7th place, just and he's back into the pit lane. So once drivers on... Ferrari, Paddock, well saved that man.
Yeah,
what a save.
Yeah, managed to keep it going there, Claudio Stanisic, but a little trip through the gravel, not ideal in that 458. First man to visit the Paddock Hill gravel so far this weekend, which isn't... and just as I... No, I think that's
just
still
the
his dust.
That's just the revenue of the rest of all the gravel that was kicked up.
This man looking quick, Jeroen Bleekemolen. He is currently down in 8th quickest, but he has set the fastest, personal best first sector, just a couple of tenths shy of Alexander Sims. Through the middle sector now comes the Dutchman. What's it going to be? It's a personal best of 37.1, so as it stands, this should put him up into the top 6 if he can hook up the final sector. 8th at the moment for Jeroen Bleekemolen. Surprised to see him out in Q1, but it'll be his teammate Stefan Racina that will do Q2 as Bleekemolen comes through the final corner at Clark Curb and across the line. Where's this going to put Bleekemolen? Up into 5th place.
Good run by Jeroen Bleekemolen. Good first, second and final sector. All personal bests for the Dutchman, and he gets clear air and is able to continue on.
Top 8 cars covered by half a second with a minute and a half to go. This is just Q1 though, and it'll be the best lap times from both Q1 and Q2 that will see the cars progress into the final pole position shootout. This is Mike Parisi again.
Yeah, down in 12th place. He needs to find an improvement under 124.7 to make any further progress. 0.8 of a second behind fastest overall provisional time set by Alexander Sim. He goes into the pit, so he decides, as pretty much everybody has done, as the clock ticks down to 0, there's not an awful lot to be gained. But there we are. Jeroen Bleekemolen still pounding away. Great looking in the exit of Hawthorns.
He's got a Ferrari right up in front of him though, and I'm a bit concerned that could cause him a bit of a problem. Sims giving some advice to Philip Eng. There is that Ferrari up in front of Jeroen Bleekemolen. What is the middle sector going to be for the Lamborghini driver? The Ferrari does eventually sort of get out the way, and Bleekemolen has lost time as a result in that middle sector. Traffic hasn't been quite as problematic as I feared it might be, but there are some drivers out there that will say it did affect their lap times as Bleekemolen turns through the final corner and stays out there. He's going to go for one more.
I'm not persuaded as to the reasons why he wants to do that. I mean, he might feel there's still good life in his set of tyres, and with everybody more or less in the pits, there's only, I think, about 4 cars currently on circuit, so he's got a clear track and he wants to try and improve. But I suppose obviously there's a point at which you're going to say, how can I improve on my 5th place? And that's going to make any significant difference when it comes to the final qualifying segment 3.
That's very true. Here is the 77 Lamborghini Huracan of Attempto Racing coming through the right-hander and 4 seconds down in that first sector. So not going to be a quick one for Davide Valsecchi, the former GP2 champion, but Bleekemolen has done a personal best in Sector 1. Here's the Lamborghini coming towards Hawthorne Bend.
So personal best Sector 1. Let's look and see how he looks. It's the exit, that tells you if somebody's on it, and he's not far off being on it. But through Westfield, the Lamborghini was a bit of a hop, skip and a jump, and it's still not a lot better. Back to the 22 Nissan. And who's behind the wheel there? Sanchez, okay.
So here comes Blancpain through the middle sector. And is it any good? It's a personal best. So looks as though we're going to have a personal best lap time for Jeroen Blancpain, and he is only 0.3 of a second off Alexander Sims. He's fifth at the moment. Is the Lamborghini driver for the Grasser Racing team, out through the final corner and towards the line. He's won here before in the past with Harry Procek and the Grasser team. Can he go quickest across the line? No, but it's third quickest. Good lap.
Very good lap, very interesting. He did about 6 laps on that set of tyres.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, as long as he had a clear lap, he was improving by the segment, by the lap. So that's interesting information for everybody else in the pit lane, and gives an indication of the true pace of the Lamborghini.
So let's hear from Alexander Sims, the quickest man of anyone in Q1, and he is down in the pits talking to Dakota Jane.
Alexander, you were fastest in qualifying today, and with your home history, how does that help you?
I mean, quite honestly, there are a lot of very good drivers up and down the grid that have been here before, so I don't think there's much home advantage at all, to be honest. The Quali 1 went well, but we have Quali 2 yet to come, which may well change the end position, but it's always a good start to start first in the first quali session. So yeah, now I hand it over to Philip and we see what he can do.
So have you offered Philip any advice or any cool tricks?
No cool tricks, no, unfortunately. He's a very good driver as well, so he knows what to do. Just try to give as much relevant information as possible so that he can get on top of it quickly. But yeah, we'll wait and see how it goes.
Thank you, good luck.
Cheers.
So Alexander Sims then ending that first session quickest then here at Brands Hatch. The second qualifying segment will start in 4.5 minutes time. So here's a look at the results after qualifying 1. BMW M6 GT3 of Row Racing, quickest Alexander Sims and Philip Eng. Just 0.5 of a second ahead of Dries van Thor in the number 4 WRT Audi. All the first drivers in this column are the drivers that set the lap time in that session. So Jeroen Blancpain, and we saw they're going third quickest, Rob Bell fourth, Rosenquist, Baumann, Schneider, Dusseldorf, Abril, Zampieri, then Frederick Vervisch and Laurens van Thor in 11th place. And I'm sure we'll speak a bit more about them as the session progresses, but they had a problem in free practice 2, and when I spoke to them just before qualifying, they said, we don't know what the problem is. 14th quickest for the Nissan, Mitsunori Takaboshi. He'll be handing that over to Alex Buncombe for Q2. As I say, it's the top 19 cars that go through to Q3. So at the moment, a 23.9 is the quickest time, and therefore it's a 25.3 that is the slowest time in the top 19. But usually, we tend to see it all being decided in the second part of qualifying. Then we've got Raffaele Giammaria, who's going to be going out next in the number 90 AF Corsa car. Rodrigo Baptista, 26th quickest. Stuart Leonard down in 28th. I think the WRT team will be a little frustrated with that. Michael Broniszewski has already taken pole position for the Blancpain GT Sports Club race tomorrow, and he manages 29th quickest. And then you've got Steve Parrow reunited with Daniel Kalvitz for this weekend. Didi Gonzalez, 32nd quickest. Nicholas Pola not having a great run, and the slowest car, 26 seconds off the pace, Frank Stippler and Felipe Salaquada. So perhaps problems there for the ISR team. So that concludes Q1, but now Q2 is where the battle really begins to be in the top 19 to get through to the pole position shootout. No one's working on that number 1 WRT Audi car, but 11th quickest, as I said. I spoke to them just before this session, and Laurens van Thor said, yeah, we've got a problem, but we're not sure what it is. Hopefully we can fix it.
I mean, it's unexpected because the sister car, Dries van Thor, which ostensibly is an identical car, is second quickest. So, I mean, all you have to do is look at that car to get an issue of whether there's a fault. But I mean, WRT are so on top of their preparation. I don't know what could be a problem. You get sometimes a rogue shock absorber or something that might be causing a lack of confidence or feel for a driver. And that's only something they can really get looking into once the qualifying is finished.
Well, that's quite a view, isn't it? 37 GT3 cars.
I tell you, give you a couple of mil for the lot of them, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. What was... I can't even think what the
That's
price
probably
is
near
going
the
to
5 mil, actually.
Well, what should we say? 400,000
Yeah,
is about a price.
37, yeah.
So times that by 37. So off the top of my head, that is 14.8 million.
I was going to get a cheap deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, but if you'd got him for 5, John.
I was going to take him for 5. I mean, obviously, I was bidding low, but I didn't think it was that low.
No, so about 15 million pounds worth of cars about to head out onto the south. That is nuts. As already very eager, pulling towards the end of the pit lane is Sergio Jimenez in the WRT team. A couple of them pulling forwards. We've still got a minute to go before the session gets underway. Up in front of them is the 4 car of Robin Freitz.
What I'd be curious to, this is what we never really get to know, is the drivers in Q2, will they still be on the rubber? The car finished Q1 in, or are they going to take a big gamble and put a brand new set of tyres on for Q2 and for Q3? Because ultimately getting through to Q3 is the key. So it's the combination of the first and second qualifying sections that then will determine who gets through, the 19 cars that get through. So maybe you can't. I mean, if you're in top 6, you could take the chance. But if you're beyond that, you might be forced to run another set of tyres, new set of tyres.
Especially when the gaps are so tight. I think that's going to be the challenge. It would be very, very brave for one of these teams to take the risk, because we're going to have 0.8 of a second separating first to 19th.
If you're say 10th or below, I would say you're forced to run another new set of tyres. If you're 10th and higher, in other words, between that and pole or provisional pole, you might think you could roll the dice and not end up worse than being 19th.
So, the green flag is waved at the end of the pit lane and the cars pull out onto the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit for Q2, another 15-minute session. As they come out onto the circuit. So at the moment, it's Alexander Sims who is the quickest on a 1 minute 23.926. And Dries van Thor, second quickest, as the cars all now make their way out onto the track.
I mean, I think that's an outstanding time from Dries van Thor.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether he's been here before on his bicycle or his tricycle or push pram or whatever, but I mean, a 17-year-old racing driver in a full-on GT3 Audi WRT, which is not the most nimble of racing cars in comparison to what he started his motor racing in a sort of very small lightweight single-seater. I think on a circuit like Brands Hatch, which is demanding of driver experience and respect, that's a pretty impressive run.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good stuff from Dries van Thor, who's made the step to GTs even earlier than his brother Laurence did. Laurence still managed to win the German Formula 3 championship before he moved to GTs, whereas Dries van Thor's just had 1 season in single-seaters, did a good job, won a race in the Formula Renault North European Cup at Assen, but immediately they've decided to make the switch to GT racing.
Well, I think it was a family judgment, a family decision, that the cost of going down the single-seater path, which may end up in nothing more than just 3 or 4 years of a lot of money being spent for no end product, to get into GT3 racing and be somebody who could be very quickly looked upon as being a future star. That was maybe a smart move by the Van Thor family.
So, the cars making their way out. Through the right-hander comes the 3 car of Sergio Jimenez, making his first sprint appearance of the season, having missed the first round to race in the Brazilian Stock Car Championship. Similar weather to this, I imagine, down in Brazil at the moment. It's very lovely. As we go on board with Robin Freitz in car number 4.
Look how composed and relaxed Robin Freitz is behind the wheel. There's no erratic moves in the steering wheel, well, not at the moment anyway.
That's coming up through Hawthorns and then now into Westfield.
And the bumps, look, you can see how much bumping there is from the Audi, and that's probably not the worst of them either.
Down through Pilgrim's Drop, up into Dingledale. Only 2 left-handers on this whole circuit, and he's going to come through one of them now. Into Stirling's. Little adjustment on the straps, a little look around, and down towards the final corner then for Robin Freitz in car number 4. Best middle sector of anyone.
He's in the pit lane.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So, there we go. That was...
well, I mean, he may just have gone out to do a lap, come in. He's got 11 minutes remaining, or sorry, just under 12 minutes remaining. Be curious to see if we can see the pits where Robin Freitz stopping. I'm assuming they're going to put on a fresh set of rubber.
Yeah, the number 1 car hasn't gone out at all yet, actually. So No movement from them. In fact, quite a few of the HDP cars haven't gone out either yet. Quite quiet on the track at present.
Quickest overall, Lucas Stultz in the Lamborghini, 124.3, which is not a bad effort, first flying lap.
No, not at all, because that puts you up into 7th place on the overall timings in the battle for getting through into Q3. The top 19, as I say, go through to the next session. Across the line then comes the number 6 car of Marcus Winkelhock, and he goes 2nd quickest, and that moves him up to 8th place overall. So that puts that car into the pole position shootout as it stands. But again, Lucas Stultz has gone fastest in the first sector. Here now is the 63 Lamborghini.
Mirko Bortolotti.
Are we going to do all driver names like that?
No, but I spoke to him in the break and asked him about the car, and I noticed the bumps in the Lamborghini, and and that's what he said. Doesn't like the curbs. Thank you, Mirko. You couldn't have given it a better illustration than that. Of course, it all contributes to a loss of time. That was his first flying lap. Personal best, first and second sector. Naturally, is a flying lap, but that will have hurt his overall time, and he's going to have to get out of it. 24.1 is a very, very good effort. He probably lost the best part of half a second.
So here he comes again.
So on it. Just 2 exits too early, and can't do. But look at the rubber he laid down.
Yeah.
That was a real hairy, scary moment.
But that was still the 5th quickest time overall for Mirko Bortolotti. Franck Pereira, meanwhile, is on a quick lap. He's just about to come over the line now. Where's Pereira go? He comes into the pits, so no improvement for Franck Pereira. Mirko Bortolotti
still on it.
Purple in sector 1.
And I think he's one of the guys in the paddock who's always fun to talk to.
Yeah.
He's always got something pleasant to say. He's not one of those moaning winnies, ginnies, whatever you call them, who always got a problem. Looking at the 2 Nissans, Sean Walkinshaw in the 22 car, and it must be Alex Buncombe in the 23.
So they will be hoping to have a bit of a better performance than they've managed so far.
Sean Walkinshaw currently in the pits, but 15th quickest, looking to see where the sister car is. Hasn't recorded the time that we've got on our timing and scoring. We're going to the time and scoring currently. There is Mirko. It looks like he's lifted up. No, there's Bortolotti now.
Coming through the final corner, purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2. What sort of lap time is this going to be for Mirko Bortolotti? Across the line he comes. It's going to be a 23, is it? Oh, 23.5. Wow. Goodness me, quickest time by 0.4 of a second. Godfrey Grasser happy.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be too happy because Robin Freans has just taken that fastest first sector time away from Mirko Bortolotti. He's quickest now in sector 1, and he is also going to be pushing to try and put number 4 Audi to the top of the timing and scoring.
Morgan Moulin-Trafford goes 2nd quickest on a 1 minute 24.2, which moves them up into 8th place overall. But here comes Robin Freans. What's he got in the middle sector? Very close to the grass, and through the middle sector he comes. 37.0, a couple of tenths down on Bortolotti's middle sector time. So this is going to be touch and go between Bortolotti and Freans for the provisionally the quickest time in this qualifying session. This isn't the battle for pole position. That'll happen in Q3 in about 10 minutes time. But here comes Freans across the line. Where's this going to put him? Quicker than Bortolotti? No, 2nd quickest, 3.5 tenths down in the end.
But another very good time was 2nd place, now 3rd place. Marco Bappelli, who's standing in for Jack Lallo, who for the last minute couldn't take part. So good run from those Lamborghinis.
That's a really good run because Marco Bappelli is a silver driver, not a gold or a platinum like Bortolotti or Freans. Here's the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari, currently in the hands of Norbert Siedler as he comes down to the right-hander. He is another highly ranked driver, 2nd in the Porsche Super Cup back in 2011 to a certain René Rast.
Currently 11th quickest. Certainly ran right out to the edge of the track coming out of Hawthorns. Did the same thing out of Dingledell. Be careful on the exit. Oh, a bit of oversteer in the middle of the corner for the Ferrari. Remember the first time that the 333 Rinaldi car is running the 488, the twin-turbo engine Ferrari for the 2016 season. One of many new products into GT3 racing this year.
Edvard Sandstrom has just had his car, his lap time cancelled for running wide on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. They've got a camera there, and I went into race control area, and they've got reams of paper, all with pictures of cars with 4 wheels over. They've got pictures, so the driver comes in, I never ran wide, and they go, Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, that's why we cancelled your lap time. Here comes Davide Valsecchi, GP2 champion in 2012. Oh no, sorry, it's Marco Mappelli, my apologies, we were just talking about him.
We're just talking about him, and again, looked very impressive. Well, again, right on the very, very edge of Paddock Hill Bend, the bottom of the dip, that compression. So back to the 85 Mercedes, and where does it end up? Third, Jasmine Jafar. Good job from the young Malayan driver.
And that puts him fourth quickest overall as well. So still Alexander Sims' time is in there. So at the moment, as it stands, the number one WRT Audi of Laurens van Thor and Frederik Vervisch would not be going through to the pole position shootout. That's the car that we really need to keep a bit of an eye on and see whether they end up on a quick lap. Here's the number 2 car coming through the left-hander. Personal bests here for Michael Meadows, I think it is, at the wheel. And there goes the number 1 car, Laurens van Thor, third quickest, still 3/10 slower than Mirko Bortolotti, 2,000ths of a second slower than his teammate from last year, Robin Fraintz. Here comes the number 2 car, though, across the line. Are we going to see an improvement from Michael Meadows? Yeah, but by 1 position. And as it stands, that is just enough to squeeze him into the top 19.
He's 19, just on the cusp. You have to think he's not going to be feeling safe with 5 minutes and 40-odd seconds remaining. Back to the Bentley, number 7, Stephen Kane, I'm assuming it is in 6th place. So the Ulsterman, who is, I think, one of the pleasures to watch all around the circuit. He makes the body language of that Bentley look, you make you want to go and buy one, you know?
I'll have 2. He comes down towards the final corner at Clearways. Not a great middle sector for the Northern Irishman. A very good middle sector for Maximilian Buch, though, in the HTP Mercedes. He's gone purple in that middle sector. So are we going to see him challenge Mirko Bortolotti's time? Across the line comes Stephen Kane, makes up a position, and that puts him up into 7th position overall. Here comes Maximilian Buch across the line for HTP. Are we going to see an improvement? Second quickest for Maximilian Buch. Still Bortolotti quickest for the Grasser Racing Lamborghini team, but it's all about being in the top 19.
Very interesting what we've seen so far, because I don't know if anybody thought the Lamborghini was going to be as quick as that. And just looking down to see other people that are doing 58. Fastest sector, sector 3,
Alvaro Parent
going on 2. So keep an eye on Alvaro Parent, because he's going on to a lap, currently in 8th place. So overall 10th.
So are we missing any real shocks from the top 19? At the moment we are not, but here is Alvaro Parent, who's on a personal best in the first sector, using all the curve and a little bit more, but could run into troubles up ahead.
Yeah, the Lamborghini, whether that's going to be aware or get out of the way, or, well, you can see Alvaro Parent is on a flying lap, and of course the traffic ahead of him may be on their way back in, or also on their flying lap. So it's just difficult for Alvaro Parent to judge what the Lamborghini ahead is about to do, but he will not want the distraction of those 2 cars directly ahead of him, because it will always shave a few hundredths of a second off the lap time that you're presently on. So car 85 becomes 58. It is no improvement for Alvaro Parent. That last sector, slightly slower than would have been required to see any further improvement.
Third quickest for Franck Pereira in the ISR Audi. Very good lap time from Pereira to go quicker than both of the WRT Audis. Very rare we've seen one of the other Audi teams take the fight to WRT quite like this, as we see Sergio Jimenez out there now. He's down in 20th place overall, so just outside the pole position shootout, and he has had a trip through the gravel at Westfield Bend already. Here's the 33 car through the middle sector. Personal best sector 1, personal best sector 2, and Christopher Mies is coming to the final corner now. The man who was quickest in free practice 2 a couple of hours ago drops a wheel in the grass and the gravel. Is he still going to go quicker? 6th overall at the moment. Across the line he comes.
Yes, he does.
3rd overall for Christopher Mies.
He went to the edge of Clearways. Pierre Dudonné looking at the screen, and well, he might have had the same reaction you had when he saw him kiss the gravel on the exit of Clearways, but it was always positive going forward, and he maintained the momentum off the corner. Good run, another good run by Christopher Mies.
Pierre Dudonné running the team today. Vincent Voss not here because he's doing our job in Belgium today, covering the World Endurance Championship, as we now see Marcus Winkelhock coming down towards the final corner. Good first sector. Middle sector, all right. This could move him up the order. Where is Winkelhock overall at the moment? 18th, so he's pretty much on the bubble to get through into the next part of qualifying. Across the line, up to 13th overall, 10th in this session. So 2 minutes to go. Jules Simkowiak is about to come across the line. Where does he jump up to? 12th quickest. So that means that pushes Sergio Jimenez out of the top 20 as it stands.
Frank Stippler on the bubble now. No, it's not to make, but it's Stoltz, Lucas Stoltz in the Lamborghini. They had been very quick in the early part of the session. They're now the car that will be very nervous, what with 1.5 minutes to go.
Here comes the Rowe Racing BMW, and
99.
it's Philip Eng, who at the moment hasn't managed to match his teammate Alexander Sims' time. It's still Sims' time that is the only one in there doing battle from the lap time set in Q1, and Eng comes into the pits. So they've decided they're pretty safe. They're pretty much through to the pole position shootout, so bring Eng in. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. Good first sector for Marcus Winkelhock. Good middle sector for Alvaro Parent. Both of those guys, well, Winkelhock in 14th place is under a bit of threat at the moment.
Parent's time, looking at the first sectors against others around him, and his second sector has got scope for improvement. So Parent currently 9th in this session. Could see some small improvement coming across the line. No, nothing. So he stays all the way down in 11th overall.
But as it stands, still going through to Q3. Up towards Druids. The car's still streaming across the line as cars desperately tried to get a lap in. The number 8 Bentley is one that hasn't made it through as it stands to the final part of qualifying, as Gottfried Grasser gives a little bit of gentle instruction, I think, to one of the mechanics. But yeah, that number 8 Bentley, we'll try and keep an eye out on them as well, because it's not been a great run. Here comes the 87 ACA ASP car of Moulin Trafort. So we're going to see an improvement from him, 16th in this session, and that leaves him 19th overall. So right on the bubble. Checker flag is out. Who is out there that can improve? Seidler gets up into 13th place, which is 16th overall. So looks as though Ferrari are going to be getting through to the final part of qualifying. We've got all the guys you'd expect to be in there. That means that Lucas Stoltz, this man in car 19, has just been shuffled out. And it's not a good first two sectors either.
No, and this is his last chance to check a flag, as all he can do is try and maximise what he's got remaining in this final sector, but probably is too little too late. Goes across the line and doesn't improve, and consequently is the first to not get through.
Yep, 20th place then for Lucas Stoltz on the grid for tomorrow. There is Gottfried Grasser. Looks as though his car, run by Mirko Bortolotti, is going to end the session fastest of anyone. A few more cars to come through. Here comes 89. No, into the pits for them. The problem is with such a big grid with such closely matched cars and good cars, I'm struggling to sort of mentally think of who isn't in the top 19 that we would expect to see into the top 19. But we've got the 333 Ferrari in there. We've got Stephen Kane's Bentley. We've got Van Thor. We've got Freitz. We've got Bortolotti. We've got Book.
For me, the sort of surprise is we don't have any of the Nissans through.
Yeah.
So 23, Alex Buncombe. 22, Sean Walkinshaw. Neither have made it through.
So Andy Soucek has not made it through. 24th on the grid for the number 8 Bentley tomorrow. Philippe Salaquada down in 30th.
One, absolutely.
That's a bit of a surprise because they were looking quick earlier on today. Takaboshi will start 33rd on the grid. Sean Walkinshaw will start 35th on the grid. That's the position for the two Nissans. Other than that, no one else really is a surprise.
Well, I did talk to Bob Neville, this morning, and he thought that when they go through to qualifying, they're going to have sufficient performance with those new tyres. It's not translated into a time.
So here are the top cars that are going to be going through to the final pole position shootout. The top 19, Mirko Bortolotti ending the session quickest, Maximilian Buch second quickest, then it's Christopher Mies in third. Great lap from Franck Pereira to be fourth quickest in that 74 ISR Audi. Robin Freitz ends the session fifth quickest. Great effort from Alexander Sims to finish seventh quickest, even though that time was set in Q1. Then we've got the ACA Mercedes of Rosenquist and Vautier getting through in 13th place. So Vautier not quite having the pace of his teammate. Marcus Winkelhock in 14th. Jesse Krohn on his Blancpain debut making it through into the top 19. It's Daniel Zampieri and Patrick Niederhauser, the last men through into that pole position shootout. So 20th on the grid will be Jean-Luc Bobelic and Moulin Trafort. And there you can see the rest of the order. This is the positions in which they'll start the qualifying race tomorrow, and it'll be driver number 2 that will take the start. So, for example, Marcus Pommer will start tomorrow morning, 25th on the grid. Jean-Philippe Belloc, 26th on the grid, etc., etc. Jeroen Mull, I think, will be frustrated with 29th place, as will Philippe Salaquada and Frank Stippler. That's a good pairing to be that far down the order. And the slowest car is Stefan Lemeret and Claudio Stanisic in the 55 Ferrari, 37th quickest. So they will start at the back of the grid for tomorrow's qualifying race. Racing gets underway at noon. We're on air at 1:45 noon, but we've still got a pole position to be decided. So let's hear from Nico Pola, the teammate of Mirko Bortolotti, and they were the quickest in the first part of qualifying.
Currently fastest. Can Mirko hold on to this pole position?
Let's see. I mean, we have a good pace. We just showed, so Mirko's a fast driver. So I guess so, yeah. I think we can do the top 3, top 5 finish. I think that's possible. Yep.
Thank you. Good luck.
So Nicolas Pola then, the man who's raced in the Austrian Formula 1600 Championship, F3 Open, Euro F3, various single-seater series for the 20-year-old German, handing over to a man with an awful lot of racing pedigree, Mirko Bortolotti. 2008 Italian F3 champion, 2011 Formula 2 champion, 2013 Megane European Cup Trophy champion. He's had a test drive with Williams Formula 1 team as well around the Abu Dhabi circuit at the end of, I think it was the start of 2012 that he had that test. He was also rumoured to be one of the drivers that would replace Felipe Massa back in 2009 when...
It'll take a bit of a deep breath to do that one.
Well, absolutely, but in the end it went to Luca Badoa. So perhaps Mirko wouldn't have been a bad shout, but that 2009 Ferrari, a real difficult one to drive. Even when Fisichella got in it was a challenge.
When these opportunities arise, it's very much out of your hands. I mean, you can get into a team that's got a fantastic car, you get into a team that's got a car that's difficult, and it can just make or break a career. And I mean, Mirko Bortolotti is a guy who I think is a great driver, and as we've got a grid full of great drivers, and a lot of them are coming through, the youngers, we've mentioned this in earlier broadcasts today, how many young drivers are coming into the Blancpain GT series, both sprint and endurance, and the talent and the quality is, I think, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. So let's have a look then at the cars we're going to be seeing going through into this pole position shootout. Last year it was sort of a top 10, but this time we're going to have the 63 car of the Grasser Racing team, and that is Mirko Bortolotti, who will be in that car. Dominic Baumann will be the man who's doing the Q3 session for the Mercedes team. We'll have Christopher Mies for the 33 car, Frank Pereira in the 74 ISR Audi, Robin Freins in the number 4 WRT Audi, Lawrence Van Thor in the number 1 WRT Audi, Alexander Sims in the 99 Row Racing BMW, the 85 Jasmine Jafar HTP Mercedes will be 8th quickest after that first session. Jules Simkoviak in the other HTP car. So all 3 HTPs inside the top 9. Jeroen Bleekemolen completing the top 10. And then we've got Stephen Kane out there, Alvaro Parent, Tristan Vautier in that Mercedes Acura ASP in 13th place. It'll be Marcus Finkelhock, Jesse Krohn, Christopher Hasse, Norbert Siedler, Marco Mappelli and Daniel Zampieri, who will be the drivers to compete in this final pole position shootout. Good work from Jesse Krohn, actually. I have to say, he's got a lot of experience here, the Finnish driver, but was called in reasonably late to replace Nick Katzberg, but he's going to be doing this pole position shootout session. He's got a lot of experience here. In his first season of racing, 7 of his first 14 races were here at Brands Hatch. He was competing in Formula Ford, did a couple of rounds of the British Formula Ford Championship, did the Formula Ford Festival here as well, so he knows it well. But these cars are a bit different to Formula Ford.
Yes, they are, but maybe that's the difference. Well, obviously, Steph Dusseldorp, a lot of experience in GT3 cars of all circuits, of all varieties, Mercedes, BMW, and more. And to hand it over to Jesse Krohn with the pressure. But, you know, sometimes the younger kids, they get in, they've got so much self-belief and confidence that they just carry the car and they just don't worry about if it's not maybe just quite perfect, or that little bit of, oh, I don't like that little twitch coming through Westfield Bend. They're not even aware, they just drive the thing. Maybe that's the reason why we've seen them put into the row racing. And these BMWs, actually they're giving us full title, and I don't actually understand how BMW arrive at this, but it's a BMW F13 M6 GT3. What the F13 refers to, only people in BMW probably know.
If you do know, get in touch using the hashtag BlancpainGT, and we'd be very grateful. And so the cars are about to head out onto the circuit in, well, 2 seconds' time. So the fast lane is now open, and out they go.
Well, one car is out.
We've got 2 cars heading onto the track. 3, 4, 5, they will start to make their way out there, because What's the lap here then? About 1:25. So in 10 minutes, you're not going to get a huge amount of running in.
No, they're going to be on a new set of tyres, and the tyre's going to be on its first flying lap. But we've seen actually with this endurance tyre that it is probably that little bit more durable than the former sprint tyre that was used in previous seasons.
So these are the cars through to the third part of qualifying. Mirko Bortolotti, Maximilian Buch, Christopher Mies, then Franck Pereira, Robin Freitz, Laurens van Thorp, Alexander Sims, Jasmine Jafar, Jeroen Blekemolen, Stephen Kane, Alvaro Parent, Tristan Vautier, Marcus Winkelhock. Some of them are driver 1, some of them are driver 2. I'm reading the names of the drivers that are going to be doing this Q3 session. There you see Tristan Vautier, Marcus Winkelhock, Jesse Krohn, Christopher Hasse, Norbert Siedler, Marco Mappelli, and Daniel Zampieri. The 19 drivers dueling it out over an important qualifying session this, John. It is possible to overtake here at Brands Hatch, but it is pretty tough.
Yes, I mean, it's not a long lap. It's a high work rate. It's a very deep concentration lap. And it's a circuit that, I mean, I don't know any driver who's never been to, or who's been to Brands Hatch who doesn't actually have a smile on their face when they get the car fully hooked up, fresh rubber, the lightest weight the car has been in these 3 qualifying segments, and you just are right on it. Part of the joy of being a racing driver is going through qualifying in these contexts. The weather has changed. About an hour ago it looked like it could even rain. Now we've got a beautiful sort of late spring evening here at Brands Hatch. Sun will be low in the sky in certain parts. That'll also have a small effect on drivers just being able to pinpoint where they want to place their respective car. But the 86 Mercedes thunders its way out of Surtees and then on to the back straight, or what was called, I suppose you might call it the main straight here, probably within a few kilometers per hour faster or slower than the straight past the pits. Wave green flag indicating that the circuit is clear.
This is Jules Simkowiak, who is out in the car at the moment. We went in to speak to Bernd Schneider earlier on. He was lying on his back and just relaxing. I said, "You look pretty chilled, Bernd." He said, "Yeah, Jules is doing qualifying. I haven't got anything to do now." He went out in Q1 and put a quick lap time in, but now it all comes down to the Dutchman, Jules Simkowiak, coming through the final corner in this 86 HTP Mercedes. What's our first benchmark time going to be? Quickest time we've seen so far, a 1:23.5. Oh, straight away in there, Simkowiak.
Matches more or less the quickest time we've seen from Mirko Bortolotti. So let's wait till 85 comes through Mercedes. So
23.3 for the 85 car. So that's a very, very good lap there. And that is set by Jasmine Jafar.
Then Christopher Mies is third in the Audi, number 33. In fact, Jafar's gone quickest. Alvaro Parent second quickest now in the McLaren. We didn't get that one on camera, just suddenly Alvaro Parent slips it in. Simkowiak again, fastest first sector on the second flying lap.
But Robin Freitz has done the personal best, the best of anyone in Sector 1. Middle sector is a personal best. What's it going to be for Freitz as he comes across the line? Is it going to be quickest? No, fourth. Loses a lot of time in that final sector. By a lot of time, I mean 0.2 of a second. Here's the number 1 car, though, meanwhile, of Laurens van Thorp.
Pole position last year.
And I think we saw him coming off.
Coming back on the track. He doesn't look like he's fully on it on this first flying lap. The Bentley comes up. Which one is this number?
It's the only one through, Stephen Kane.
Yes, Stephen Kane, number 7, of course. So Stephen Kane goes 6th figures, 1:23.673. 0.3 of a second covering the first 6 at this stage, just over 5 minutes, 40 seconds remaining.
Franck Pereira, quickest for the ISR Audi team. What a fantastic performance Franck Pereira is having so far. 1:23.260 for the Frenchman. Here comes the 99 car of Alexander Sims now.
Keep an eye on the Mercedes of Rosenquist. He is fastest of all in the first sector on his first flying lap. Well, the second flying lap, I have to say, because he's done the 24 already. So the Mercedes, we haven't got it on screen, we're looking at the 99 BMW. So it is Alexander Sim just coming up to complete his first flying lap personal bests. But it's the number 88 Mercedes that is potentially going to be the car that could see itself provisionally, with just under 5 minutes remaining, on pole position.
Across the line comes Alexander Sims. What's it going to be? 5th quickest for the Englishman. Here now comes Felix Rosenqvist, a reasonable middle sector. Actually, he's quite a bit slower than Franck Pereira in that middle sector. A 37.1 for him and a 36.6 for Franck Pereira. So what's this going to be for Felix Rosenqvist? Across the line is going to be his first flying lap of the session, and it's only 9th quickest. Lost a lot of time in the middle and final sectors.
Well, I mean, maybe we picked him up after he'd had some kind of traffic problem. There is the current provisional pole setter. Personal best first sector, nothing brilliant in the second sector, but it's the combined and a 26, it doesn't count. That was another lap, so whether he's got the best on use out of those new tyres. We'll go back to Alvaro Parent, the 58th, 4th position, 123.484. Again, personal best first sector, nothing in the second sector. Not a lot left for Alvaro Parent to make up ground. He needs to find a quarter of a second to go fastest overall. He needs to find 38,000th of a second to go 3rd quickest.
Across the line comes Parent, and he goes 4th quickest,
Stays 4th,
remains
yeah.
4th quickest. So, Franck Pereira quickest at the moment, Jules Simkowiak 2nd quickest, 3rd for Jasmine Jafar, 4th Alvaro Parent, 5th Mirko Bortolotti, 6th Alexander Sims, a personal best in the first sector for Alexander Sims. The middle sector again, not really hooking up for that BMW. He comes across the line and remains 6th quickest. So, but Franck Pereira, meanwhile, is just on a personal best in sector 1. Here comes Dominic Baumann, personal best sector 1, personal best sector 2. The top, goodness me, the top 13 cars at the moment covered by 0.4 of a second. Across the line comes Baumann, 8th quickest.
And who is 13th quickest? Laurens van Voor.
Yeah.
I mean, that lap that we saw him go on to, and we thought maybe he'd just backed out of it. He's down in 13th position, and he's got just under 3 minutes to remain. We go back to Alvaro Parent, pounding away, personal best once again in that first sector. He needs a personal best in all 3 sectors. Ideally, he needs a purple, but by the lap, he's just using more and more and more of the tire. And again, in the middle sector, nothing that's going to make any significant difference. So right now, Alvaro Parent, 6th position.
So Franck Pereira on provisional pole position for the ISR Audi team. I'm pretty sure that would be ISR's first pole position in the Blancpain series. It wouldn't be Franck Pereira's first. He got a pole at Silverstone in a Porsche a couple of years ago in the Endurance series, and that is 6th for Alvaro Parent. Doesn't manage to improve. Here comes Laurens van Voor across the line. Can he improve on 13th place?
9th.
Well, I mean, he does improve, but not notably.
Well, I mean, where's it gone?
France is 10th.
I mean, that's just unexpected. When you got your more the customer Audi, Franck Pereira, fastest overall, and the difference is
there's
0.2 of a second.
Extra branding for Dominic Baumann.
Yeah, I don't know where he's picked it up.
He's trying to wiggle it off. He's obviously been wide at some corner, but that'll be a job for team signage.
What great advertising for Pirelli! I mean, it's phenomenal.
So Franck Pereira, 23.2. Simkowiak 2nd at the moment on a 23.3. As I say, the top 14 cars now covered by less than half a second. This is the 16 car, which has at the wheel Jeroen Blekemolen, personal best in sector 1. And he's currently 16th for the 16 car. And bouncing all over the curbs through the middle sector. Is it a personal best? No, loses some time.
And again, it's just the same story everybody's had, that had the best of the run of the earliest part of the qualifying session. So, but we saw Jeroen Blekemolen stay out a lot when he was in the car in the first qualifying segment, and he found time. He got on about lap 4 or 5. So can he see any further improvement on this occasion? And I doubt it very much.
No, remains 16th. Got a good final sector in there, did Jeroen Blekemolen, but it was all time lost in that middle sector. No one doing personal bests at the moment. Here's Robin Freins, currently 10th quickest. Lap 4 of car 98 has been cancelled. That's Jesse Krohn for track limits, and as a result, he's now slowest of anyone in 19th position.
Wow. Well, was that a good decision after all? We were saying what a great decision that the road racing team made by putting the young Swedish, or Scandinavian anyway, Finnish driver into the car, and an error, and it's just principally by abuse of track limits, cancelling the time, and all the way down on the 10th row of the grid now.
Personal best first sector for Laurens van Voor in the number 1 WRT Audi. So that car on a charge. Here he is. Took pole position here last year, did Van Voor. Won the qualifying race, won the main race at the moment, 9th quickest.
Do you think he's inspired?
Oh, and he's gone wide onto the gravel.
That's cost him time. He's had to back out of it.
And that's going to be it.
But he ran wide coming out of Hawthorns, but that was in control. Running wide out of Westfield, he's backed out of it. He knows that he's got a problem. He can't go any quicker. So what a disappointment for for Laurent Van Thor. Starts on the 5th row of the grid, all the way down in 9th position.
The checkered flag falls, the session is over, no one is going quicker, so the ISR Audi squad looks set to have their pole position here at Brands Hatch with Franck Pereira. Here comes the 88 car of Tristan Vautier, Felix Rosenquist, currently 5th quickest. So it's
out of it as well.
Yeah, but it's Rosenquist who did that session. It says it's Tristan Vautier who was meant to be doing it, so apologies for that, but it's Felix Rosenquist who has set the lap time, 5th quickest for him. So pole position for the Audi, 2nd for Jules Simkowiak. A word about Jules Simkowiak, that's a really impressive lap time.
Yes, and I think last year Simkowiak had a very mixed season, got involved in that massive accident back in Misano, which took out Laurens Van Thor. And he seems much more comfortable this year with the HTP team that was the team that ran the Bentley he was with last year, but for some reason just seems to have slotted into the Mercedes and is doing a very, very good job indeed.
Do you think it's anything to do with his teacher, Bernd Schneider? That's got to help.
Well, I'd like to think that, dear Uncle Bert, has contributed. I mean, the thing is, someone like Bernd Schneider can tell you what you could maybe help yourself by doing. You've got to take it on board and you've got to listen to it and then think it through and then ultimately put it into effect.
So high fives in the ISR Racing Garage for Franck Pereira, Frank Stippler giving a handshake as well. And a big thumbs up for the ISR team. And they have beaten the quickest WRT Audi by 0.2 of a second. Christopher Mies, 4th quickest. Van Thor, 9th. Frank's 10th. There's going to be a long debrief, I think, tonight for WRT.
I'll tell you what, if you had £1,000 on it, 5,000 to 1 for Leicester City, you'd be a wealthy man. Who would have given Frank Pereira the chance to be in pole position? What would the odds have been?
Yeah, absolutely. Really impressive performance from the Frenchman.
Now it's a super drive, and he just got it in sort of relatively early in the session and used the best of the tyre that he had, and indicates that whatever his Audi is doing, it's doing it better than any of the other Audis here this weekend.
So pole position for the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup event here at Brands Hatch tomorrow for Franck Pereira and the ISR team. His teammate Marlon Stockinger will no doubt be overjoyed as well. A 1 minute 23.260, less than 1/10 of a second quicker than Jules Simkowiak and less than 1/10 of a second than Jasmine Jafar. And we can now hear from Franck Pereira, the man on pole position tomorrow. He's talking to Dakota Jane.
Frank, congratulations, pole at Brands.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's great. It's really a big pleasure, to be in pole finally, because in Misano I was already in pole, but unfortunately we had track limit, and then here it was not easy, because it's have no experience on this track. So we tried to, to work with the car and try to build the qualify, and try to. But we saw that we improve every lap, and I think Q2 was important. I sure I was in the front, so it was really confident for me. And this time I tried to put everything together, and we done. So it's good. It's good for the team. It's motivate everybody, and it's so good for my teammate Marlon, who will have a huge advantage to be in front, and it's good.
Congratulations and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Franck Pereira then starting, his teammate Marlon Stockinger will start from pole position, and he's absolutely right. They had provisional pole at Misano until their track limits were brought into question, so I suppose you could argue if he didn't. But this is how the grid will line up tomorrow. ISR Audi on pole position with a 2nd and 3rd for the HTP Mercedes. Jules Simkowiak will start with Jasmine Jafar alongside him. Then it'll be Christopher Mies starting 4th on the grid alongside Enzo Eid, the first of the WRT Audis. Another good session for Rosenquist and Vautier in 5th place. But look at that, 0.4 of a second separating 1st all the way down to 12th position, which on this 4-kilometre circuit is very, very, very tight. Mirko Bortolotti couldn't quite find that pace he found in Q2, there we go, and he will start in 7th place on the grid. 13th for Abril and Kane in the Bentley, 14th for Meir Melnoff and Winkelhock, and then we've got Davide Valsecchi and Marco Mappelli in 15th place, Bleekemolen and Racina behind in 16th, Seefried and Seidler 17th on the grid in that new Ferrari, Zampieri and Niederhauser 18th. Jesse Krohn had his lap time cancelled. So, Another entertaining qualifying session here in the Blancpain GT Series. Robin Freyntz was out there. That was Dries van Thor, who ended up very, very quick in the first segment of qualifying. And a really strong performance from that number 4 WRT Audi. The Nissan's going slowly on track there, and going slowly on track full stop. Rob Bell was held up in that first session by the car in front of him. Here was the 98 car across the line. That was Steph Dusseldorp. Mirko Bortolotti was pushing hard, and just as we said the car's a bit dodgy over the curbs, yep, demonstrated. Lays a huge line of rubber down, but it was Bortolotti that ended Q2 quickest of anyone with a very impressive lap time, and Godfrey Grasser was incredibly satisfied. There was a little trip through the gravel for one of the Row Racing BMWs as everybody got ready for Q3. Dominic Baumann getting set, and he would end up qualifying a little bit further down the order than he would have wanted, in 11th place. Good lap from Rosenqvist to take 5th position. But Franck Pereira for the ISR Audi team, he and Marlon Stockinger will start on pole position for tomorrow's Blancpain GT Series race. The 1 hour sprint race coming up tomorrow. Both races coming tomorrow. Join us at quarter to midday. The race gets underway at noon. The Blancpain GT Series is here at Brands Hatch.